All right, a lot of passion in there. Great comments all the way around. Thank you all. Now we're going to ask you to vote. Green, if you agree that basically a national body needs to be there to evaluate racetracks in general and kind of run the show. And red, obviously, if you disagree or think that this just cannot happen. Please hold them up high. Clodagh and Ian are counting. Do we have a tally already? I don't believe it. 47 of you say yes, it can happen. 22 say no. All right, so see, you guys have done good with your first one. Second one, I'm going to tell you, I don't think this is ever going to happen. Free online past performance information. Whose idea and why is that going to get racing rejuvenated, revived, re-jumped, whatever?
I don't totally agree with it being free. What I think it does need to have is an increase in the quality to make it value for money. At the moment, there's just black and white data, no real personality in the horses in the comments. So I think providing a better quality, people would be willing to fork out for it, but at the moment, to walk down to your local service station and pay $8 for a daily racing form in plain black and white, only covering half the races of the day, is really not money well spent. So, you know, even if it is online, it still costs to produce that data in an acceptable format that is interesting for people to read. So while it might not necessarily be free, a higher quality for similar money is definitely achievable.
Anybody else now have a comment on, do you think it would help out? Oh, go ahead.
No,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to brush by this issue.
No, it's not a problem.
I just know there's 13 more to go, but go ahead. No pressure. You're doing great. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I definitely think there should be there is a spot for these sort of resources online to basically pull it all together. There needs to be, it can be like a place of education for people that don't understand the betting, pulling all the different form for all across America, past replays. I think all this at a little cost to the industry. I think there's a lot of gains to be made for people to be able to access and do past form and sort of be educated on what they're betting on. I think it can generate some more players into the game.
No, I agree with that. Let me throw this question out to all of you because, like you say, everybody here much is preaching to the converted. But let's say we had 100 people in here that's never been to the racetrack. You could give them all the free information you want. You could show them pictures of all the races. I don't think that's going to bring them into the racetrack anymore. We could say, hey, he worked in 58-3 today. He really looks good. Yeah. And if, you just walked in and you've only followed football and basketball, why do I even care if I can get the racing form free or the past performance? Yeah. And if you're a gambler, you're going to dig it out no matter where it is, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, you're going to find that racing form. You're going to pay more money. You're going to pay more money even if I want to just go to Keeneland today. I've got to buy everybody else's card as well that comes in the racing form. But I want to go to Keeneland, so I'm going to buy the racing form regardless. My friend that follows only basketball probably couldn't care less.
I was just going to say quickly from an ADW perspective, most ADWs already provide free past performances if you wager on the race. So you buy the past performances, and then if you wager on the race, even just a $2 win bet, you get reimbursed for those past performances. So there's already a way for people to get past performances for free if they make a wager on that race. So I think that that's fair enough. I'm not sure that we need to have past performances be free for everyone. I think that as long as it's free, if you make some sort of wager on that race, I think that that's fair.
And just, you could say perhaps not free online or to everyone, but I'd say where we could take some ideas from Vegas and casinos is people that at least come to a race course can get hold of free form, because if you're at the race course and you perhaps won't be willing to pay that extra couple of dollars for a race car, but at least if you have one, that at least will open up the opportunity to you actually placing a bet. Whereas if you didn't have a race card, it decreases the chance of you ever placing a bet that day, like to nil, really.
Well, that's a good idea. Anybody have any comment on that? All right. Let's take the vote. Free online past performance information. Green if you agree that this would be a real solution. Red if you think maybe not, or I'm not overwhelmed with it, either way.
It's a very mixed crowd, actually.
God, it looks like the Republican primary out there, all that red. I think I know which way this is going. Did you change your vote? No, you didn't. All those that think you're not excited about it, 39 say no. 22 or 26 say yes. Great job, Ian. Okay. Trackus technology, standard for all tracks. Give us the reason, gang.
From the media perspective, I know we're going to have one supporter in this audience here at least, but
I was going to ask who has this question. Please.
From the media perspective, I think that implementing Trackus at all racetracks would be a very important step in keeping racetrack patrons engaged and interested in the sport. In my experience at attending racetracks that have Trackus technology, you often see people watching the little chicklets as they go around rather than watching the horses themselves, because it makes it possible to be able to track the product that you're wagering on. I just think that in today's society of instant gratification, if people can't follow what they're laying their money on, they're going to lose interest in it.
From a wagering perspective, I mean, I completely agree that that would be fantastic to have Trackus technology available at every track. Obviously, if you have a bet on the race and you can watch the race and see exactly where every horse in the field is, it increases your experience of wagering and watching races tremendously. So I think it's a fantastic technology. The problem is it's extremely expensive, so you know the issue is who's going to pay for it to put it in at every single track, because it does cost a lot of money. But I mean, from an ADW's perspective, would ADWs be willing to put in some money to pay to install Trackus at every racetrack? I mean, if it increases our handle and our revenue enough to offset the cost, then maybe ADWs would be willing to put in some money to pay for it. But that's the issue. Obviously, it's a fantastic idea, but it's very expensive. So I guess finding someone to pay for it is the issue.
From a TV and radio aspect, like obviously it's not too big to do with radio, but like the TV, like it is very helpful for the bettor and for the viewer. But you know, improving technology full stop is very important. The camera angles in some racetracks. Now, obviously, it doesn't count for the smaller tracks, but the big tracks like Saratoga, Kentucky Derby, you know, you need to get the viewer more engaged and more involved in the race. You know, if you've ever seen the Grand National, you know, jockeys have cameras on their heads as they're going over fences, or there's microphones in the stalls in some races in Newmarket. Like, it's all about engaging the viewer as well, especially from a TV perspective. And there's no doubt that I think technology full stop should be improved.
From a racetrack operator's point of view, I'll just chime in and say again, yes, while Keeneland, a racetrack that took that step and did install Trackus, it was great for them, and I believe it's worked out quite well. But for a lot of smaller tracks, there is a huge issue as to who will pay and where that money will come from. But I think, as Brianne mentioned, if an ADW saw the value in that and was willing to subsidize to help make that standard for all tracks, I'm sure, you know, we'd be more than happy to welcome the help.
All right. Does anyone have any questions or vested interest in Trackus? Here, hold it. Mr. McCarron?
I think one of the best benefits of Trackus is, doesn't it afford the people who are really into stats look at how much ground was lost during the run of the race. So in the past performances, instead of a horse, instead of the racing form or the Equibase saying 4 wide turn, it actually tells you how many feet that horse was compromised by in the race.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredibly valuable asset.
You've ridden horses, haven't you? No, that's I think the best point. That's what I like best about Trackus. I would vote green, but that's just me. Your question, great question, Chris.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
It was a statement, but it was a great statement. Jump all over that statement.
But yeah, if you're right, from a wagering standpoint, it's a great handicapping tool to be able to know that if a horse, ran second by a half length, but they ran so many feet farther than the winner, that's a great handicapping tool. So I completely agree with you. Yeah, it's a great tool.
Great point, Mr. McCarron. Okay, let's just have a show of hands. I don't know how much controversy this can be. Trackus technology standard for all tracks. Green if you say yes, this is one of the solutions. And red if you disagree. This is going to be our most overwhelming vote, I think, Ian. Let's see, that would be 59 yes and 9 no. Good suggestion.